Hello everyone, welcome back to LAB. If you're new here, then the theme is loosely law and things that happen upon me in my life as a lawyer. If that sounds good to you, please hit subscribe and welcome to the fam. This week I'm talking about something which I am really passionate about, and I've been working hard to progress in the legal arena for around the last 5 to 6 years, and that is representing victims of cosmetic surgery which has gone horribly, horribly wrong, and specifically those who've gone abroad for cosmetic surgery. The reason why I've chosen to do this video now and why it's particularly relevant is because Love Island is about to start. And last year I was exceptionally busy following Love Island because a number of people wanted the Meghan, and I can tell you now, not everybody got it. So given the fact that if you're anything like me, you will be watching Love Island excessively over the next few weeks, admiring all the beautiful people which have potentially had cosmetic procedures and potentially thinking about having some yourself, I've put this video together to highlight some of the things you may want to think about before taking the plunge. I want to say a few things straight off the bat before we launch into the main part of this video. The first one is that nothing in this video constitutes legal advice. Hopefully the purpose of the video is to reduce the need for you ever needing legal advice on this issue in the future. If you do think you might need some legal advice on this, or you know somebody who does, please feel free to contact me separately. The second thing to highlight is that there is no way of completely eliminating the risk of any cosmetic procedure. Anytime you mess around with your body and put things in it that aren't supposed to be there, whether that be implants, injectables, scalpel and stitches, your body can react in unusual and unfavourable ways. So you need to bear that in mind before you consider having any procedure. The third thing is I'm absolutely not saying don't do it. I'm acutely aware that I only see the proportion of cosmetic procedures which go wrong, and fortunately that's not representative of the most people who have cosmetic procedures. So if you're worried that this is going to be a hammering of all things cosmetic procedure and judging people who've had them, absolutely not the case. Okay, now that bit's over and done with, let us launch into the educational part of today's video. So first of all, what can go wrong? Don't worry, I'm not going to show you loads of gruesome images. Nobody needs to see that on a Monday morning or whenever it is that you're watching this. But I am just going to highlight a few things which I've seen go wrong in my experience, just so you're aware. At the very lowest end of the spectrum, you might not get the result that you want. There are absolutely no guarantees with cosmetic procedures, and they are so personal to you that you may well come out of your procedure thinking that you don't look exactly how you envisaged that you would look, or maybe that you even look worse than you did before. And a lot of these procedures are very difficult to undo once they've been done, so you may be faced with living with those consequences for the rest of your life. Second thing that can go wrong, and by far the most common in my experience, is infection. Anytime you put a hole in your body, there is a risk of infection, and those can range from fairly minor localized infection to very severe infection which can spread to multiple areas of your body and can even be life-threatening in some cases. So it's really important that you always listen to any guidance you're given by your practitioner about managing the risk of infection. The third thing, and the issue where I often get involved, is substandard technique or care, and that can lead to a whole range of nasty outcomes, from very severe scarring to significant tissue loss to paralysis in some cases, not to mention the emotional trauma that's caused when a cosmetic procedure goes wrong. There are other things that can go wrong, but those are some of the most common. Okay, so what can you do to reduce the risks of things going wrong? First one, do your research, and that applies twofold. One, do your research on the actual procedure that you want to make sure it's right for you. Research it on the internet, speak to other people who've had it, speak to your practitioner, and make sure that that procedure is really right for you before you go ahead with it. Secondly, do your research into your practitioner as well. This is so important. Yes, recommendations from friends and family or forums are better than nothing, but they may not have done their research and just had a good result by fluke. So there is no substitution for doing your own research and making sure that your surgeon or your practitioner has all of the relevant qualifications. If you're looking at surgical procedures, then you can check first of all if they're a registered specialist with the GMC. That's really easy to do, and I will link it in the description below. If you're looking at injectables, then the situation is slightly more complicated because there's a lack of regulation when it comes to injectables, i.e. anybody can do it, which makes it a lot more difficult to find practitioners who are safe and have a good level of experience in doing these procedures. However, there is an organisation called Save Face, who I will link below as well, who have a database of approved practitioners, which I would really recommend that you check before you have injectables. There are also a bunch of other organisations who can help if you are looking into having cosmetic procedures all linked in the description below. If you're thinking about having surgery abroad, the situation is slightly different, and we're going to come back to that in a minute. Another major thing is don't shop on price. If you are desperate to have a procedure, I know it can be really tempting to go with the lowest price option, but this is your body and your face that you are messing around with, and you do often get what you pay for. If one surgeon or clinic is offering something for half the price of another, that should be raising alarm bells with you as to why that procedure is so much cheaper there than anywhere else. Although it may be tempting, it is so much better just to save up for that extra few months and actually get it done in a proper place and pay full price for it than it is to go to a discount place and get potentially a cut price service. Take time to make your decision. This isn't something that you should be deciding on overnight. This is a really big decision that may impact you for the rest of your life. So really mull it over and think about whether it's really something that you want for the rest of your life, and it's not something that you want just because you've seen your friend with it, or you've broken up with your partner, or you're going through a really difficult time at that particular moment and you feel like doing something about it. This is long term. It's not a phase that you can dip in and out of when you feel like it. So it's really important you take a long time to make that decision and you're really at peace with it. Always go for a consultation with your surgeon before you actually decide to have the surgery. Most practitioners will offer a free consultation before you actually have to sign up for the surgery, and I thoroughly recommend that you take that opportunity to really sit down and make a list of questions that you want to ask your practitioner and go through them all in detail and make sure he or she takes the time to really answer them properly. You shouldn't feel rushed or pressured into doing anything that you want to do. If you do feel like that, just stop and don't go through with it and pick somebody else. You do not need to feel uncomfortable or pressured in any way. This is such a big decision, and there are a lot of people out there who can perform this procedure for you. So there is no need to have it with anybody who makes you feel uncomfortable. Other things to look out for with your surgeons are people who try and sell you a number of different procedures. If you go in because you want Botox on your forehead and they start pointing out other things on your face, like, oh, you could do with your nose fixing here and your lips fixing here, alarm bells should be ringing. Only you should decide what cosmetic procedures that you want. You should go in and tell them what you want, and they should only be giving you advice in relation to the result that you want to achieve. There may sometimes be certain procedures which naturally go together to get the result that you want, and that's fair enough. But if you want something in a certain area of your body and they are commenting on other areas of your body, that's absolutely not their right to do that, and it's a sales pitch, and I would be really wary of that. Another thing to check is that they have insurance as well, because if things go wrong, you want to make sure they have insurance, as you can be in real difficulty if there are no funds to pay out in the event of a legal claim. When you do finally decide to have your procedure, make sure you disclose all of your relevant medical history. You should be asked to sign some forms declaring any medical issues that you've had previously, and it's really, really important you write everything on that form, including any mental health issues, which is a big problem that I often see people not recording on their forms. I know it's tempting to miss things off because you think maybe they'll judge you or it might be a barrier to having the surgery, but that isn't necessarily the case. It's really important that your doctors know everything about you to manage it properly, and it may not be that certain conditions are a complete barrier to having the treatment. It just means that the treatment has to be approached in a slightly different way. So always be really, really careful to declare everything, and if it is a barrier to the surgery, then there's probably a really good reason for that, which you'd much rather know than not know. So if you're in any doubt, put it on the form. It's not for you to decide what's relevant and what's not, it's for the practitioner to decide. So always put everything down. It goes without saying that you should always follow all the advice you're given about pre and post-surgical care and follow all of that advice to the letter. And if after the procedure you do feel that something's wrong, make sure you get in touch with your practitioner straight away without delay. If you can go back and see them, all the better, but if not, give them a call or an email and make sure you discuss it with them as soon as you start to feel that something's wrong. And if your practitioner tells you that everything's fine, it's perfectly normal, but you still feel there's something wrong, seek medical advice without delay, because if you do have an infection, sometimes a matter of hours can make a huge difference between how detrimental that infection is to you and your long-term health. As a final note, if you are thinking about having surgery abroad, I would really recommend that you reconsider. Not because the surgeons are of any less good quality abroad, that's not necessarily the case, but the problem is when you go abroad for surgery that it's very difficult to tell who the good surgeons are. There are different standards of care, different regulations, different laws apply when you go outside of the jurisdiction for surgery. So it's very, very difficult for you to tell what your rights are and what standard of care you're going to be getting when you go abroad. So if you are thinking about going abroad because it's cheaper, I would really, really recommend that you wait and have the surgery done in England if you possibly can. Okay, that's it. I hope that's been helpful. If you do want any more information about this, then please feel free to get in contact with me or click any of the links which I've included in the description below, because they are all really helpful on this subject. If you have enjoyed this video and you are interested in cosmetics, then please come back again next week, where I am doing a series of face hacks to keep you looking younger for longer. So if that sounds good to you, then please hit subscribe and join me again next week. Bye guys.